first live edition of the Diversified Semantic Layer podcast. This is Eric Vallow, PR Nightmare at Large, and I'm joined left by right. Wait, here we go. We got Dallas, Marks, Derek, me, Greg, and Jamie. This is really, really strange. Cheers, guys.
Howdy.
Hi.
Hola.
What are you guys quenching with? Everybody? Got some good
Sam
juice?
Adams Ruby Mild.
Yeah,
No.
Shiner Black, Bohemian Black Lager.
16 Mile out of Delaware, Responders Ale. Notice it's got a little fireman on it.
Smoky. Smoky.
Quite convenient.
So
I have
this,
some really awful cheap wine for anybody that's interested.
did it come from a box?
It did not turn out. No, I like the box wine I've been trying. It's good.
So this is the first episode after our reboot with our new website, dslayer.net, and decidedly our new video format. So we're going to be posting the podcast in video format on YouTube alongside the audio format that you can continue to enjoy on your favorite iDevice, because nobody that has an Android device actually listens to us, I'm guessing. Enough with that. Yeah.
Hey, I have an Android now. Be nice.
I thought you were going to get an iPhone, dude.
I gave up.
Weak sauce.
I know. I'm the weak link. I'm the weakest link. Goodbye.
That's why you couldn't show your face at SBOUC.
That was it. I could not. Sold.
Yeah. Well, so traditions never change. What's happening in community news?
So TechEd's coming up. That's pretty fun.
Oh.
There's a inside track tomorrow down here in Greg in my neck of the woods.
Oh.
Got inside track Newtown Square. So that's always fun.
That is true.
Are you guys both going?
Yes.
See, both presenting.
Just like everyone. Right.
Oh.
All four of you?
People are going to talk. Shh.
At least you'll have good espresso. Anything else going on? I've got my bags packed ready for TechEd. How about you guys?
You're
Not
not?
packed just yet.
Too soon?
I'm not taking anything.
You're going to pull a
see where
Cliff?
the week leads me. That's right.
Oh, God. Just going to hose you down somewhere, I suppose, at some point, or bathe you into a car noir.
I'm assuming that security will take care of most of that.
My bags are not packed, but I'm definitely counting down the days on a little calendar over there.
Awesome. Let's get past this. We'll talk about TechEd after TechEd actually happens.
Good idea.
Or not.
All right. Well, on to the topic at hand, which is interestingly enough, and we'll attack this with all possible delicacy. It's SBOUC and SAP TechEd. Do they belong together, or do they belong apart? You guys go first. I don't really want.
Wow, that's like the $1 million softball lead balloon question. I think the world, including my soon-to-be 13-year-old daughter, knows my opinion on it. But it comes back, my 2 cents are separate but together. It's kind of like coexisting. That co-location strategy has been talked about for years. Would be my dream. We have our own little world. We get to hang out with the big time, but we have our own world of content that people want to see. But I don't have to worry about going to 2 conferences to get it. I can get the best of both worlds for one low price. That would be okay by me. I would be okay by my company. I know there's tons of other reasons why people want separate, why people want together, why people want to can one. But if I had a dream, and this wasn't a Martin Luther King speech, I would look at a co-location strategy. Give us Give the volunteers a chance to program something really, really cool, but share some of that shared space and have, separate but equal to a point. And I think we would just I think it could be hit out the park. The community could totally just rock it. I mean, regardless of the location, Las Vegas, somewhere else, wherever it is, I think the aura of TechEd with the SBOUC community would be just freaking awesome. But that's just me.
Yeah, so I think you're right. I think that for a long time it was absolutely the wrong solution. I think that when SAP first bought Business Objects, they were like, basically they let ASUG have the conference and go from there. And then a couple years later, I think they realized that it was a real thing, and they wanted to pull it into TechEd. And I think that was definitely the wrong strategy, right? Like just pulling what is the SAP Business Objects User Conference into TechEd, I think would really do a disservice to what that community is and needs and wants. I think what we found is that, if we're going to come together, co-location is the key, right? They still have to be two events, very distinct events, but, overlap where it makes sense and put it in one place, right? Which allows SAP to bring more resources. It allows community members to not have to pick. To me, the real problem is just the way that we just had a fantastic SBOUC, right? I mean, it was a great event, but it wasn't as great as it could be because some people like, Derek, for instance, that you have to make choices, right? And not everybody can go to two conferences a month apart with some content overlap. And I think, that means that the system is not working, right? And I think this is our best chance to keep it working.
Well, I think this is a golden opportunity right now too, this year or even maybe one more year, because I think that it's finally gotten to the point where you're right. We just had a fantastic conference, and SAP saw that, and they realized that we have something really special, and they want a piece of that. They want that at TechEd. They want TechEd to be like that, more like that. So I think the identity of that conference is the real currency we have with that, and to be able to bring the two of them together at this point in time, I think there's no better time to do it. As long as we can preserve the identity of what SBOC is, it's our conference, the volunteer conference, and not let it get absorbed into the Borg that is the SAP machine, right? But I think there's definitely some golden opportunity there.
I don't want to. Dallas had a point earlier that I want him to make again, but as a new business objects guy, however many years ago that was, one of the things that I remember is that the business objects conference felt grand, and TechEd captures that for me now, but not in a business objects-y way, if that makes sense. Dallas, you had some thoughts on, where size of the conference should be. You want to weigh in?
Well, the conference, it definitely, the SBOUC conference definitely feels like it gets just a wee bit smaller year over year. And let's face it, the entertainment gets smaller as well, because you need a pocket mirror, to check out the band. So there's some opportunities to go large. And I'm the only one here on the panel. I have never been to an SAP TechEd, and I will never be at an SAP TechEd. For the reasons that you mentioned. Two conferences back to back. You really can only. Not everyone can afford to go to two, and I have certainly fallen into that category since since SAP acquired Business Objects.
So, What do you guys think from a content perspective? You know, we've certainly seen more um, content that I would perceive was aimed at the BW and the HANA customer. Just no dig at anybody. It just when you survey a room or you talk to somebody you're speaking to, they're coming from the SAP world, and business objects is the ancillary technology. It's that thing that they're there to learn more about because they own it now.
Well, I can probably answer some of that if you want. You know, a lot
No.
of it is no. Okay, bye. Because we had the existence of SBOUC, since I have the pleasure of serving on the committee for all three, for lack of a better term, for TechEd, ancillary, but for annual conference and for SBOUC as well, it's because SBOUC was out there, we always had to keep that, I don't want to say the word segregation, but you always had to keep that content available for that conference. Well, then that led everything else you're talking about, the BW, the HANA, all that stuff, to the other conferences. That's why that co-location strategy, if done the right way, could be totally awesome, because we no longer have to worry about that anymore. If you're a technical or a business objects technical user, if you're co-located with TechEd and you want to learn about all the HANA cool things and you're at the same place, you can go to a HANA session, right? But if you want to figure out how business objects is using HANA or how business objects is running against somebody else's database, that's the beauty of those SBOUC sessions in the same place. You could go to them. The volunteers now have the ability to pick and choose, knowing that I don't have to worry about where this is landing, because if we don't cover this, we have the SAP TechEd side of the house that might cover this, which gives us the opportunity to pick something else that's platform agnostic or a migration strategy or something that's business objects related. So what it gives us is that flexibility to program really good stuff, and the charge to the community to come to the table to volunteers with your cool stories now.
So just to add to that, yeah, I mean, you know, having been an ASUG volunteer for many years now, for even annual conference and for TechEd sessions, we've traditionally capitulated any business objects content on the ASUG side because we always had SBOUC. So we would say, well, you guys take another slot or another session there, and we'll minimize our presence because we have this other conference. But then, you know, I also wanted to make the point that the first year I went to TechEd in 2010 as a customer, and, you know, as new with little stars in my eyes, there was a lot of business objects content there that had nothing to do with any of the other SAP core products. You know, I went and filled my head with sessions that had to do with BI4 and, you know, all the different tools and the changes, because it was brand new. They were just talking about it then. I'm sitting there with product managers that came over with the acquisition just like I did. So, you know, there was plenty there for me to consume that didn't have anything to do with the rest of the SAP world.
So I will take exception with that, Greg, because I was at that conference with you, and there was not an absolute ton of BO content there. There was something almost every hour, but it was no customer stories. It was, you know, I mean, it was not like SBOUC, right? SBOUC, every hour you have 15 choices, and probably half of them will be for something that interests you, right? At TechEd, you go and, you know, you may have a 4-hour block where you have 1 hour of Webby class, and most of the questions in there are going to be, how do I run Webby on BW? Right?
No, I'm not going to argue with you on that.
But that's why just, you know, squashing the SBOUC and saying show up to TechEd would never work, right? Because you can't fill your dance card there.
That's right.
If you're a classic business objects shop. And that's the way it is with the SAP stuff too. You know, like if all you cared about were just CRM, right, or just I don't know what else they sell, just Solution Manager, you probably would have a very hard time spending all week learning, you know, just about that one thing. But that's not the way most SAP people are, right? Most SAP people, you know, they sort of branch out. You know, they don't know just CRM. They know mostly CRM, but they're also interested in Solution Manager and ABAP programming generally, and this and that, right? So it's a lot easier to fill your time up. Whereas if you're just a business object shop, there is no point in you going to a session about anything else.
So that's where I think the real opportunity is, though, for the co-location, right? Because SBOUC traditionally doesn't have as strong a presence from SAP. So if you want to go and listen to a product manager or the product managers who developed a solution, TechEd's the place. And if you want to have the hands-on, a 2-hour or 4-hour or even an all-day hands-on session, TechEd is the place for that. We just have traditionally done a really a bad job, honestly, and I've been on the committee since it started, so it's my fault too. But we've done a really bad job of bringing that to SBOUC, and I think that if we could couple the strengths that TechEd has for the Business Objects Conference with those customer stories, exactly what you're talking about, having all of the value that we bring from SBOUC, bringing the customers and partners and all those success stories there as well, that's where the magic's going to happen, right? And we can bring out our little Harry Potter wands and wave them around, and
Well, I think that's where you hit the nail on the head, Greg. To add in there is the fact that what you have, but with that type of strategy, what you get is the ability to program really good content, but then not have to worry about necessarily the hands-on sessions, or you don't have to worry about a band, not have to worry about entertainment. It leaves the volunteers and the community, and I wasn't a dig at the band, please don't take that, because of my family reasons, I could not go to SBOUC. I will leave the judgment that I saw on Twitter to the judgments I saw on Twitter, and say that I did see Cream in person.
You found Twitter willing to judge someone? That's amazing.
With short hashtags, pound LOL, pound ROFL, pound WTF. But
ticks.
Pound tick bite.
Watch out for the ticks.
So by taking that, necessarily not to say away, but we're leaving the volunteers in the community of that agita and letting people program really good content. I mean, think about an annual conference. Sapphire, the Sapphire side of the house is all fine and great, but annual conference it's all learning. It's 3 days of all learning, because that's all ASUG worries about. The volunteers just worry about programming the content. We're not worried about the band, because SAP has that. We're not worrying about the vendors. All we have are the all day, the hands-on from the all day in the intro, but then the rest is just pick good content. I mean, so really, if you give SBOC the ability to do that, I mean, talk about really being able to hit it out the park, I think. That's just
so that brings up something.
Take a deep breath, guys. Hold on.
So that brings up something interesting. Yes. Oh, all right. Fine.
All right, that was it.
I'll get more wine.
Well, my question for you guys, taking us back 2 points. Wait, he really did leave. Bastard.
Hey, he's got a refill. Come on.
I hear
Is this the point where we can have a beer intermission? There's no Google Hangout beer intermission. Oh. Hold on, I gotta eye my wife in the next room and have her bring me another one. No.
Sorry, did I miss anything?
No.
No, Eric just being incredulous that you left. You abandoned him.
All right, to
I
get
was
us back
shushed.
on.
What do you want?
Topic. Back on topic.
So you guys, content is king, right? And I think it can be argued that the user can come to SBOUC and learn. Fair statement?
Yep.
Yes.
Can a user also come to a TechEd and learn unless SBOUC in its exact form exists? Are they going to go over to Vegas and feel like an absolute, sheep in a room full of wolves?
Not in the same way. They will not learn in the same way. I think they'll learn differently. So there is ASUG content at TechEd, but it's limited. So the number of business objects sessions that are going to be there are very small. But like I said, it's all focused on product. You're going to get product managers giving technical product demonstrations, and then the hands-on stuff if you can get into them, and that's it. You are not going to get the same level or amount of user and customer success stories that you would get at SBOUC. It's just not the same.
Well, and I think the thing to add in there is that you have, ASUG Annual Conference is the quote-unquote user conference for the SAP side of the house. So SBOUC is a great blend of both technical and user, and that's the beauty of it, is that you have more user sessions, because if you're a user at SBOUC, you're generally more technologically savvy than some of the SAP end users who are using the GUI or entering stuff. So, I mean, in my opinion, that's why it's a good thing, that you've got that kind of split, and adding those user contents to TechEd isn't a bad thing. I mean, and what you get is, if you have users who are just who need that basic user how to use Webby, does it really matter what they're using it against? No, if they really are going to the conference to learn Webby in general, then maybe they're better off at an annual conference. Yeah, it's a BW or HANA backend, but it doesn't really matter. You're learning how to drag a query in Webby, right? But most of the users that at least I run into are the technically oriented users, and that's who I would think we'd hope to program for, and that fit would be there, Eric, in my opinion.
Jamie, you were about to say something.
I can't remember what it was. Just so stinking long ago when I was shushed. Damn it.
Who shushed you?
It's my fault.
Oh.
No, it's all right. No, I think you guys are both right. I think the thing is just, with business intelligence people, the overlap between the user and the tech people is so fine. Having two conferences just does not make sense, because nobody will be fully content at either one, right? If you go to ASUG Annual Conference in Sapphire, your technical side will feel underserved. And if you go to TechEd, your user side will feel underserved. So I really think that's one thing that's always made SBOUC very special, is that, people can show up and you're somewhere in the spectrum in between, right? Nobody's just one or just the other.
I've also...
So one thing I would like to ask.
After you, please.
No, go ahead.
I was changing gears, so please go.
Well, I was going to ask a question. Well, then I'll change gears for you. So one thing I would like to ask is, these things, if they become co-located, what are the things from SBOUC that need to stay, right? Like what stuff can we not just get wrapped up in with?
Ario.
So let me jump in on the top of that. I think that part of the magic of SBOUC is that we have our 8 tracks of content that needs to stay. We can't dilute what we have, because we have spent years figuring out the right formula and the right mix and the number of sessions to have, and to dilute that, I think, would really be a crime. So we still need to have the same number of rooms, the same number of tracks, the same types of content being picked each year to reach all of those different detailed facets of the platform. As Jamie's putting his thumb over my head or something, right?
I can't. If I can't see you, I can't hear you.
In your head.
So we've said it before, and I've said it for years. The content is king, and I think that the content, to me, is the biggest draw of SBOUC. It's the biggest value of that conference, and that it would be a crime to dilute that in any way. All right, I'm done.
I agree. What he said.
You guys are gonna have to bear with me for a minute. My family just came home from a game in which the St. Louis Cardinals beat the crap out of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Woo! Guys, cheers! Woo!
Apparently my dog is a Pirates fan, because you started barking when you said that. I didn't know that. He lives in a house full of Phillies fans.
Can we pike some barbs at Chris Pohl now, guys? Is it a good time?
Tammy Dotcher, you right?
Lay it out.
I already started.
So, as I suggested, what? Thank you, Bear Winch. Love you, honey.
Anybody want some cotton candy?
All right. So if no one else is going to say it, I'll bring up then another thing I think that should stick around. And I'm not sure how it fits, but Dev Wars has really become something kind of unique. I know there's Demo Jam at TechEd, and Demo Jam is really cool. And I have to not say anything bad about Demo Jam. No, it's cool, and I think Jamie's kind of hit it on the head before, that it's kind of appy and it's kind of programmery, and whereas and that's fine, and that really appeals to that crowd. But Dev Wars appeals to the business objects and to the analytics person. It's all analytics. It's whatever type of analytic thing, and that's even stuff we've seen at InnoJam, right? No one uses the business object stuff at all anymore. I don't even think it's on the menu this year, right? Because no one uses it. So it's a chance for people like us to go and compete in something like that, and I think it's really come along, and it's only been 2 years in the making, but it's something special, and I would hate to see that go away.
So how do you? We've talked about all these things, content, demo jam, concerts, the fact that there's a user versus technically side of this. How do you co-locate them yet, keep them separate yet still make them feel like the same conference?
Well, I think it's. Oh, go ahead, Jamie. You go first.
I was going to say, I think we almost need to have our own keynote.
Okay, so
at least one day.
Can't Steve Lucas satisfy us all?
Sure. So he would be the one that we would share, but then
I have often said that they should just make the co-location should be, it's still our conference. Nothing changes from the way we do it today. Whoa! All right. How can I compete with that going on? All right, never mind.
He's blushing. Look at him. He's blushing.
Jamie's getting lucky.
Wow.
All right.
Let's put the focus on him for a minute. Wait a minute.
Whoa. All right.
Bow, chicka, bow, bow.
No kidding, man. Wow.
Hey,
I didn't know we were going to get a rating on this tonight. What was I saying?
Man. Hi, Becca.
Hi, Becca.
Hi, Becca.
DS Layer alumni. All right.
So what was I saying? To me, a successful co-location is SBOUC in its own space, not diluted. It's the same conference. It just happens to be in the exact same place as TechEd at the exact same time as TechEd. So, I think we've seen precedent with the way that the SAP brought in the Sybase conference, the Sybase TechWave. The first year that TechWave was co-located, it was a floor down from TechEd. It was a separate conference. They had their own rooms. It was all kind of their own thing going on, but they could wander up and go into a TechEd room if they wanted to upstairs. Or, so why not just take another floor above, and that's SBOUC, and that's ours, and we do it, and then we can wander around between the other stuff if we want to. It's simply at the same place at the same time. It's still controlled and run by ASUG and by ASUG volunteers.
What about the show floor?
I know a lot of people have talked about separate ones. I don't know that I like that idea because so much of the community lounge stuff happens near the show floor. I think we just need to come up with a way to segregate the business object sponsors from the rest of the sponsors and maybe give them a little bit of a break on the sponsoring fee.
We make them all wear neon orange shirts.
Well, I think you bring up a good point, Jamie. And here's the one thing. I mean, TechEd technically starts on, if you're counting InnoJam, it starts on Sunday. So let's take this year's TechEd. It's Sunday, Monday. InnoJam is, Sunday into Monday. Monday night is Nate Silver's keynote. Awesome. And the conference starts on Tuesday, right? So you've got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, half day on Friday, right? We've never programmed SBOUC for more than 2 to 2.5 days anyway. So a perfect strategy would be that SBOUC starts on Tuesday, just like TechEd, ends on full day Wednesday, half day Thursday. There's obviously logistics that needs to be worked out, but to Greg's point, yeah, I mean it's just like TechWave was. The only difference I'd like to see between TechWave and SBOUC is I'd like to see the SBOUC content in the main agenda builder.
Yeah.
So this way, I could hit the SBOUC filter button, see all my SBOUC sessions. We share the app, but if there's an SAP TechEd session I want to go to, I can add it into the same agenda. If there's and it's also, I think the thing that we keep talking about adding things in. I don't know if we've talked about what we're giving to the larger community with this. If you guys remember the first SBOUC we had that was co-located with Fall Focus back the first time we were at the Swan and Dolphin. How,
That's my +1.
Awesome. The Fall Focus rooms didn't do so well, and there were some that were actually empty because they were leaving. Those attendees were interested in checking out the BOUC content.
That's right.
So there's something to be said for that. And I think that by bringing that content there, adding it into the agenda builder, but keeping it separate, letting the volunteers program it, you've got that mix of people are gonna come down and check out or go up, depending on where it can lie and where we are. People could go down to the SBOUC floors and check out those tracks. And SBOUC people, if there's Jamie, if there's not something necessarily that hour they want to see, they can head up to see a Lumera on HANA session upstairs.
Sure.
That SAP is offering. And that's the beauty of what we can possibly do with this. The possibilities are endless. It all depends on what customers and partner stories we can get to the conference that are going to bring people down.
Let's be realistic about it, though, because SAP doesn't want a co-location with SBOUC because it's a charitable organization, right? They want it because it's valuable. They want it because they recognize what it brings to the table. They want it to be a part of their conference of TechEd to make it better.
And make it better for everyone.
Exactly.
So I think that it's a win-win as long as we keep, like Greg says. I mean, I can give or take Dev Wars. It's got beer, so I'm good. Not gonna lie.
Oh, it had vodka this year.
Clearly, you did not see Dev Wars this year. I don't know who was on stage, but it was magic. That's all I'm gonna.
Yeah, that was the one thing I was disappointed with ASUG News not streaming that.
Well,
it was an order of magnitude.
Because of who was on stage.
Well, yeah,
Right.
that was liability reasons. I mean, they do have insurance that only goes so far. I mean, I can't necessarily blame them. I'm not saying you're crass at all. Come on.
So you guys mentioned the vendor showcase at TechEd. Is it more expensive for a vendor at TechEd? And if that's true, will that affect the quality of or the number of vendors, of business objects vendors who choose to come to a co-located show?
There are very few partners that specialize in the business object space that sponsor the show. A few stalwarts in there, but not many. And I don't remember. I looked at one point, but yeah, I don't remember why we chose not to be honest.
Well, I think Dallas. I think we can. If I put on my creative financial accounting hat, Jamie made the point about having a separate, vendor floor. Well, maybe it's not necessarily a separate vendor floor, but if there's some business objects only products, folks that only want to be there for 2.5 days or 2 days, only for the prime BOUC content, maybe SAP finds a way that they have their own little booth, but they have to break it down at the end of day 2, and they're not there for all 4. There's some creative stuff that could probably be done to make it financially feasible for ASUG, SAP, and the vendors. And I think that's one thing that I think a lot of people forget is that ASUG members and member companies have sponsored the conference for many years, and I don't think it's a money-making venture for them. So by working on a co-location strategy, it doesn't necessarily cut the bleeding, but it makes it equitable for everyone, and then everybody can, certain voices that are over here can stop, and voices over here can stop,
I think you're gonna have to elaborate on. Could you take that a step further?
I'm gonna have to email my beer wench before I do that. But then you might see a on-air beating from Mrs. De La Salle.
Yeah, she just threw my phone out the window when I said that. So yeah.
Oh, it's insured.
She knows I love it more than her. Oh yeah, what are you gonna do?
We can She's watching in the other room. This is broadcasting right now.
Yeah, this is live, right?
Yeah, she's right there with the other 0 viewers.
Dallas has been. Can I jump in for a second, Eric?
Mom, stop asking questions. Yeah, go ahead, Derek.
Dallas has been exceptionally quiet. So, do you have it? I mean, you've kind of let the 3 ASUGers chime in, Dallas, but you know, I know you're relatively new as a volunteer, but you are, you know, a classic Bob J voice of the community. What do you think? I'd like to know.
I've always wanted to go to TechEd simply because I don't have an opinion of it. I've not been there, you know, there's a lot of my friends that you know, feel the same way. Some of my coworkers at one of my previous employers, they toss a coin. You know, some people go to TechEd and some people go to SBOUC, so they can do both. So I'm excited to see it. I also, you know, I'm really super jealous that Nate Silver didn't come to SBOUC this year because he had a prior engagement. But he is coming to TechEd, and I think that's interesting. So you have a statistician, you know, somebody who's in our space going to TechEd, which is not exclusively an analytics conference. So that's just kind of interesting right there. But you know, historically, you know, over the years we've had keynotes like, you know, one year we had the authors of Freakonomics. You know, we've just had some interesting keynotes that you know, were either in our space, but you know, weren't wearing SAP shirts, or you know, they were just kind of interesting tangents. And so I really love Steve Lucas, and I enjoyed the keynotes that we had this year. But you know, it really would have been, you know, interesting to have, you know, somebody outside. And so those are some of the benefits that I see with co-location. So I think we should try it. You know, I think if ASUG sets some, you know, acceptance criteria, you know, what does a successful co-location look like? Do it, and you know, afterwards, step back and say, you know, was this a success? Was this a failure? Are we going to co-locate again in 2015, or you know, are we going to go back to our own thing? But I'm really keen that everybody gives it a shot. And you know, what I'm hearing is ASUG does intend to announce this month at TechEd where SBOUC is. And so where will it be, and will it be co-located? You guys are going to be the first to know.
I'm pulling for St. Louis. That's not true.
I think that's a fair.
That's too much responsibility.
It's a fair point, Dallas. It's one thing, you know, a part of this conversation that keeps coming up, that keeps striking me as well, is that everyone seems to think that if a decision is made to co-locate, that it's forever. You know, I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think, you know, as long as we do this smart, we can try it for a year, and if it doesn't work, guess what? We go back out on our own. You know, I don't see why it needs to be a forever thing. So, you know, why not try?
Cost will be a differentiator. A pass to attend TechEd is significantly more expensive than an SBOUC pass, customer speaking only at this point. We talked about differences in days. What if a customer says, you know what, I want the full whatever number of days experience? You know, do we need to see that? My head, what is going on over here? Do we need to see that? Do we need to see that there's a price point that makes it compelling to still come, or have the option to stay the full time?
I'll take that one.
You have the option to stay the full time. You can just pay for the full time. I don't have a problem with saying we're having business objects content from Tuesday to Thursday. If you want to show up on Monday and stay till Friday, it's extra. I mean, it's, you know, whatever it is, $500 a day or $400 a day or whatever. I mean,
kind of like pre-conference stuff is.
Yeah.
Well, and you know what, Jamie? I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think what's perfect about that is that, you know, think about, you know, those of us who've gone to TechEd or even annual conference. I mean, you've got. I mean, I'll turn my camera, my thing of badges over here with all the different badge colors, right? So, you know, SBOUC is gold, and you know, TechEd is black or whatever, and what that gives you access to X and Y, and you've paid $1,000 for just the BOUC content and any TechEd content that's going on the 2 days at TechEd that BOUC is going on, right, or 2.5 days. But you want to get hands-on sessions, and you want to get, the Thursday and Friday and some other stuff. There's a package, and you get a white badge or whatever. And you know what? Those security guards are pretty darn good at boxing you out depending on your badge color. So
the temple guards, right?
Exactly. It's like, I feel like I'm do the bouncers at a club.
And there's precedent, right? Because ASUG already has, for volunteers, they have an ASUG pass to TechEd, and it's just a lecture only, so it's not hands-on. So they already have some sort of deal worked out with SAP. I don't see why they couldn't just extend that to, not to say that it wouldn't include the hands-on, but I mean, there's precedent. The road is already kind of there.
Yeah, it's just I think it's a matter of ASUG HQ and the board and SAP, hammering out the details, and then just by announcing in the next 4 to 6 weeks what they're doing, it still gives plenty of time for community feedback on the details as they come through. And like you said, Greg, it's going to be a learning process. We're going to figure out year one, those kinds of passes work. People paid for this. All right, year two, we need to do this, this, and this to increase attendance, or we need to go from 7 to 5, but we're programming the 5, an extra hour.
So you're saying we need to apply some analytics to it?
You would think that we'd be good at that. But previous history begs to differ.
I think we're overlooking one really important point too here, guys, and that is that being at TechEd, it's like is it 6,000? Was that the number of people there last year?
Yeah,
something like that.
That's a pretty big reach for us on the ASUG news stage too. You see there where it says PR Nightmare?
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. You got 5,999 more people going, what?
We earned that. So, damn, I got to clean my desk before the next show. Look at the pigsty back there.
Mine too.
Like,
There's crap stacked on my printer behind me, or it's like over here. It's like,
I didn't think this through. Dallas has got the Starship Enterprise up there, and Jamie's got some dangling curtains, and I don't know what Derek's got going on back there. But
I've got that side. I've got my mentor print, and my diplomas, and a old poster.
Mentor print? You got a mentor print?
I was gifted it.
Oh, okay.
So that was back when the mentors in that class got 2. Mine was actually a gift from Ingo Hilgefort.
You know what? I have really, really old school business object swag. We'll have to break that out for show and tell next episode. Like, we're talking stuff that's like 10 years old. No kidding.
Like the stuff from Insight?
Yeah. Like
nice.
Old can koozie and an old coffee mug and.
To digress, just a tad. Have you guys seen Mark Finnern's the shirts we gave away video?
No.
He has every shirt that was ever given away at TechEd, and he puts them on one by one and tells a little story about it. And he looks like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man at the end. He can't even put his arms down because he has so many T-shirts on, but it's awesome.
All right, fellas. Well, we've digressed and we've run a pretty good course here. I think we're all in agreement that we would love to see at least a test run of TechEd and SBOUC together, and I think this is the bunch that could help with the marketing to help get the right crowd in. And Dallas, one way or the other, we'll get you there, brother. We just need to get a presentation accepted for you.
He fits in my suitcase.
Oh,
I'll pay the baggage overage. Oh man, and Myers went with the pirate.
Big spoon. All right. So on that note, let's close out another episode. And if you're not already getting your Data Geek Challenge on, there's still time. Participate. SCN. And I think we got one more show before Tech. Wait, Jamie, what did you just show everybody?
My It's Dangerous to Go Alone kitty.
Oh, okay. You were still small, and I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
PR Nightmare.
That's the
Didn't know what I had to
anybody's
edit.
ever said to me. That's
PR
great.
Nightmare.
So, thanks for joining us. We hope we haven't scared you away by actually having to look at us. And, If you're listening via podcast, you're welcome to come back and, well, not watch if you don't really want to. Hey, let's start a vote. I'm going to suggest right now, just off the top of my head, why don't we put a vote in dslayer.net on this show, and let's get everybody's take. Yes, integrate. No, don't. And let's see if we can get some opinions from the community. What do you guys think?
No. Terrible idea.
Do it.
Wait a minute, I forgot to mute Jamie. Hold on 1 second. Let's try that again. All right. Well, my friends, I will catch you for our next. We'll let the baboon on the show.
Hey, I'll eat then.
The baboon with diarrhea, apparently. What he's doing over there.
Wow, all right, I'm putting my mask back on for that one.
Explosive diarrhea. All right.
Yeah, thanks.
That was
Dave.
the line. That was the line where the podcast should have ended. Good night.
Yeah.
See you guys. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Night, guys.
This podcast is hosted and sponsored by EV Technologies. Visit us on the net at savethecms.com.
D-Slayer!